Good morning. This is Crunchy Frog, and this is a little bit of nature inside of a neighborhood. We don't actually live in the country, but sometimes it almost feels like we're living in the country because San Antonio has got a lot of foresty kind of tree covered area. When you fly over San Antonio in an airplane, a lot of times you're deceived because you see a lot of trees. You don't realize that underneath those trees are houses. So it's one thing that's nice about San Antonio. You almost don't feel like you're living in a big city. Because I'm not a fan of being surrounded by big concrete skyscrapers and stuff like that. Now, it would be kind of nice if we lived in terrain where you can see like a mountain in the distance. I always like that look. The mountain in the distance. And we have to go north a little ways to Canyon Lake in order to see a little water on the horizon, or out towards the coast off of Houston or Corpus Christi, so to where you could have a nice view of the Gulf of America, as it's called now, which I love. I think that's so awesome that it's now the Gulf of America. And I think it's really hilarious that the fact that it's the Gulf of America now bothers so many people. You know, we rename stuff all the time, and I don't see why it's such a big deal. It's kind of cool, you know? So much of it is touching our coastline, all along Texas and Louisiana and all the way around Florida. So why not call it the Gulf of America? Anyway, we're heading up for our usual walk this morning. And just recently, I've downloaded a couple of games. One is an old game that I used to play a lot called Clash Royale. And for a long time, I played this game, and I stopped maybe about 2 years ago. I just quit playing it because it seemed like it was turning into this big cash grab, where the only way that you could win is if you shelled out for the new cards. You can only be competitive if you paid a bunch of money to buy these new overpowered cards, which Supercell would then nerf because they'd be too OP, which I see that as a bad business practice, because it seems sort of like a con job to get a bunch of people to buy a card because it's so OP, and then after they've already paid their money, you just go in there and say, well, it's too OP, we're gonna nerf this card now. And even though it's probably a good idea to nerf the card, you should have done that before you sold it to all these people. But then again, all these people wouldn't have bought the card had it been nerfed. So it seems like bad business practice. It's like if you bought a car and you paid $20,000 for this cheap car, and you found out that it got 150 miles for the gallon, and it was almost too good for the price. So the car manufacturer found out all these people bought this car because it was super awesome, and they feel like they got ripped off. So they go and they send a mechanic to your house, and they mess with your car so it's not so good anymore after you've already purchased it. That's just what it seems like to me. Like that's a bad business practice, and that's why I stopped playing Clash Royale, because I thought that was really crooked. Even though I didn't buy any of these cards and I wasn't personally feeling ripped off, I felt like this was a really bad business practice. And I didn't like the way the game was going because of this, so I quit playing. But recently, somebody was telling me that they've gotten better. They're making the game more fun, so I figured I'd give them another shot, because I did like playing the game. So more on that later. I might start making some videos of that, what it's like to be gone from that game for 2 years and come back and see all the weird and alien things going on in the game that I don't even recognize. And the other game that I downloaded is a baseball game called Baseball 9. And I figured with the beginning of the baseball season, I might start posting some videos of my little rookie team getting started and our baseball season. And it's a pretty fun little game. It looks nice. It might be pretty good. I don't know. I'll probably upload some videos and see if anybody wants to watch these videos, as I do with everything else. If it gets a lot of views, I'll keep doing it. If it doesn't, I'll stop. Because I am, after all, trying to make an actual YouTube channel. So that's the progress for now on what I'm up to. I just recently released a couple of videos that had quite a few views. I don't know if you've seen them, but an unusual amount of views for my little beginning channel that I pretty much make on my phone without editing anything, just putting out little videos. So that's pretty encouraging. What they have to do with the video game Clash of Clans. So this guarantees that I'll continue putting out Clash of Clans videos, which is perfectly fine with me because it's one of my favorite games. And now we must take pause as we approach the great catfish. The catfish. Yes. The giant skeleton's just up ahead. But, you know, nobody really wants to see that again. It looks from this distance like it is still wearing the green jacket. So it's going to be the St. Patrick's Day skeleton, at least until Easter. I look forward to seeing rabbit ears on that skeleton, although I'm not holding my breath, because I mean, after all, they completely skipped Valentine's Day. They went from Christmas to St. Patrick's Day and just gave Valentine's Day a complete miss. They could have had all kinds of Valentine stuff going on with that skeleton, you know. They could have had it wearing a pair of diapers and holding a bow and arrow like it's a big skeleton of Cupid. Or who knows. Oh my goodness. Actually, it looks like it's got something else going on with it right now. No, it's just that St. Patrick's Day leprechaun beard. I think they finally have it not covering the face anymore. Now it's back down where it's supposed to be and looking like more like a beard. That makes sense. You know, you want your St. Patrick's Day skeleton to look more realistic, because you know, beards on skulls are very realistic. Speaking of St. Patrick's Day, I don't know if anybody else saw how Conor McGregor came to America and visited the White House on St. Patrick's Day. And nobody really knew what he was up to. See, he's got the beard. Anyway, St. Patrick's Day, Conor McGregor came to the White House, and he's basically announced that he's running for President of Ireland now. So there's that. Just imagine Conor McGregor, President of Ireland. Wouldn't that just be perfect? Now there's one world leader that you would not want to mess with. You see him getting together at one of those EU summits, and somebody says something that he doesn't like, and he just pulls his jacket off and goes after him and just starts beating the living crap out of him. Which would be completely in character for Conor McGregor, because you know how he is. He goes off. He's Irish. He's got an Irish temper. And he's an ass kicker. You remember all those UFC press conferences when the dude simply could not sit behind the desk and have an interview, you know, with another fighter next to him? He would have to get up and throw chairs and act like a complete lunatic. But, you know, you look at the rest of the government of Ireland and you see what's going on over there. I think Conor McGregor might be just what they need. They have some real problems over in Ireland. And you know things are bad if Conor McGregor feels like he's got to put up the gloves, put on the suit, and go take care of business himself. And you know what? He could actually win the presidency of Ireland, because the last time I checked, he was the most popular person in Ireland. So if winning the presidency truly is a popularity contest, Conor McGregor will win. And it's kind of funny. He got along really well with Donald Trump, which makes sense because Donald Trump is a huge fan of the UFC and Dana White and those guys, you know. Donald Trump likes his wrestlers and his fighters. Because let's face it, Donald Trump is a dude. He is just a dude. And I think that's why so many people like him. Because they can relate to him. And so many people just hate his guts because he seems like a used car salesman. You know, and that's how he struck me at first too. I didn't used to like Donald Trump's act very much myself either. I mean, let's be honest. I was not a fan of Donald Trump. But then somebody tried to shoot him in the head, and he stood up with blood running down his face and pumping his fist and saying, "Fight, fight, fight." And that's when I started liking Donald Trump. That's when I thought, you know what? This guy's pretty cool. This guy has leadership qualities. They try to shoot him in the head, and he stands up and he defies them. That's when I realized, you know what? With all the crap going on in the world, with all the wars and the fighting and the terrorists and all the stuff with Russia and Ukraine and all this stuff, we need somebody with a big set of balls to go out there and face these problems down. And so yeah, that's when I was converted. And I think Ireland needs a Conor McGregor because they're in a situation too. What they need is a tough guy. I know he's probably not politically correct, but I don't give a crap. But sometimes you gotta have a tough guy to stare down the other tough guys. and the bad guys of the world. You know? Anyway, I guess that's all for now. This video is long enough. Look, we got this little puppy dog over there. The lady walking her dog. She's walking down that street. That's I won't be able to get close enough to get a good picture. Huh, and our duck is not in his usual spot this morning. I wonder where the duck has gone. Huh, that's interesting. Anyway, I sort of worry about that duck. The lonely duck. Anyway, you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you all later. This is Crunchy Frog signing out.